Hey, what's going on, guys? What is happening, YouTube? Thank you for tuning in to Rules for Rebels. In today's video, we're going to be talking about influencer marketing, and I think we're going to be titling today's video, Has the Influencer Marketing Bubble Burst? This is based on a Wall Street Journal article titled, Online Influencers Tell You What to Buy. Advertisers wonder who's listening. Billions are paid to social media personalities to pitch products in an influencer economy riddled with deceit. So basically, we'll give this article a read, but basically this article goes into how a lot of the companies that really built themselves off of influencer marketing in years past are now the kind of, the people who were early adopters. They're now starting to be I don't know if you want to call them early adopters, but the early leavers. They're starting to be the ones who are abandoning influencer marketing kind of ahead of everybody else. And I think that might be something worthwhile to watch. People who built their brands off influencer marketing and obviously kind of saw the trends of the future, they're now kind of getting out of influencer marketing. Now, I don't think influencer marketing is going anywhere. It's just kind of a fact that more people are cutting cable month after month, year after year, especially among younger people. Most kids growing up today probably won't have cable in their adult lives. It seems like most young people are watching a lot more YouTube than they are watching TV. And obviously, services like Hulu and Netflix are taking a share of the cable networks as well. But more than anything, most of the stuff I watch is YouTube. I tend to watch, I tend to watch a lot of documentaries and things like that. But most things that I'm interested in, or even just most things I watch for entertainment, can be found on YouTube. And I think that's even more true of people younger than me, teenagers, even kids today. And so I think it's just kind of obvious that moving forward, the quote unquote influencers, or the people who in the past we might have seen on Wheaties boxes, whether it be athletes or people who are promoting products, famous celebrities, they're no longer really the influencers, and they don't really have as much influence as everyday people on their social media channels. And I've talked about this before, but influencer marketing between say 2015 and today, completely different things. Back in 2015, most of the influencer campaigns were really bad, but it literally was as simple as pay an influencer to mention your product, post your product, feature your product, make a sponsored video, sit back and watch the sales roll in. And that same strategy doesn't really work today for a couple reasons. I think one, I think consumers are getting a little bit smarter, and I think consumers are a little bit jaded to the fact that the product that you see somebody mentioning on their Instagram account or in a YouTube video, it's not necessarily a product that they use or a product that they like. It's just a product that they're being paid to pitch. So at that point, the influencer becomes much less effective because they're not necessarily going to influence you to buy something. It's more just paying for ad space. And I don't know if I can really kind of highlight what I mean by that, but basically it's no longer oh my gosh, Furious Pete uses this product or takes this protein powder. I have to get it because I want to be like Furious Pete. That's kind of going away, and it's kind of more Furious Pete shows something in a feed, and if it looks interesting to me, cool, I might buy it. If it doesn't, I won't. But I think influencer marketing, in a lot of ways, because people are getting kind of jaded, it's turning into just buying an ad spot or just getting your product in front of somebody, as opposed to getting somebody to really kind of put themselves behind your product or be the face of your brand. That's one of the changes that I've really seen happen in influencer marketing myself and through influencers that I follow. But also, I attend a lot of e-commerce conferences and things like that. And I sat through a speech, I think it was either IRCE or Digital Summit. And there was a guy who had an influencer agency. He'd been an influencer, back in 2013. He'd been on kind of all the sides of the influencer business. And he kind of said the same thing. He said, in order for a campaign to be effective today, it needs to be an ongoing thing. A one-off post isn't going to do anything. You might get some sales just from getting your product in front of a bunch of people's faces, but people aren't really going to associate that athlete, that celebrity, that influencer with your brand unless it's an ongoing campaign that happens, I would say, a minimum 3 times, 5 times, if not completely an ongoing thing. So I don't think influencers are going anywhere because, it's YouTube stars and Instagram stars who have the influence and who people are watching. So that's not necessarily going to go away. But I think we have seen a lot of inflated values on influencers. You never really know how honest people are being. I remember I did a video a while back about how a lot of these quote unquote influencers that people look up to, they're not getting free products. They're not getting free trips. They're not getting free stays at a hotel. They're shelling out money out of their own pocket to do these things, to act like it's being sponsored, I guess in the hopes that other companies will see them and be like, oh shit, L'Oreal paid them, like we Clinique have to pay them too. So it's almost kind of a fake it till you make it type thing. A lot of these influencers aren't really getting free shit and aren't being paid. They're just trying to kind of put up a front or put up an image. And that's kind of another one of these things that this article kind of delves into, is like people are buying likes and buying followers and kind of artificially inflating their importance. I was kind of going into a point before. So I also see a lot of influencers who aren't even necessarily famous, but like on Reddit or wherever else, like, oh, I got 5,000 followers and I'm getting $500 a post. And, just like people paying micro and small influencers insane amounts of money, not even considering getting into like the celebrities like the Kardashians who are getting $100,000 a post, a tweet, whatever else. So I think we're going to see influencer pay come down to a come down quite a bit, I guess we should say. So I guess let's kind of get into this article and we can kind of discuss it as we go. So Ipsy, an online cosmetic brand, was a pioneer in paying social media stars hefty fees to promote its eyeshadow and lip gloss in Instagram posts and YouTube videos. Now the brand is leading the way again, this time by pulling back. Companies will funnel billions of dollars this year into online personalities known as influencers who pitch their products on social media, yet with no way to measure sales or verify how many people even see the ads. Companies have paved the way for the influencer economy. Most early adopters like iSpy are questioning if it's worth it. And here's one thing that I disagree with, and one thing we always have to keep in mind when we're reading articles from like the Wall Street Journal. It's one thing if we're reading an article from a company who has an SAS software or an entrepreneur who actually does this stuff. When we're reading stuff from the Wall Street Journal, I've talked about Haro before, right? Like Haro, like reporters will basically put out a post on Haro and be like, I'm looking to talk to social media influencers, or I'm looking to talk to brands who've worked with social media influencers. They'll collect a bunch of quotes and come back and write an article. And so a lot of times they kind of speak incorrectly on these issues. So is it impossible to track how effective influencers are? Absolutely, it's not impossible. There's we're seeing more and more platforms pop up that help connect brands and influencers, and also kind of monitor the effectiveness of campaigns. So things like Grapevine Logic, Intellifluencer. What's another one that I used recently? Open Sponsorship. That one's kind of more geared towards celebrities, but they aim to make influencer marketing much more measurable. Even on a small scale for a small independent shop, you can give your influencer a Shopify code. I'm working with an influencer named Dixie. Influencer code Dixie10. Have your audience, put Dixie10 in for 5% off or 10% off. And I can tell how many people have used that influencer's coupon. Also, social media analytics on say something like YouTube or even a business Instagram account are pretty good. You can see how many link click-throughs and things like that you're getting. So I wouldn't say that social media influencers are not measurable. Another thing, it's getting a lot easier to kind of measure whether somebody has bot followers or real followers. There's plenty of tools out there where you can quickly put an influencer's link or name in there, and it'll tell you, 60% of their followers are bots. So I don't think it's as grim as this article makes it out to be. But they go on, what began as friends and family sharing their favorite products has become a lucrative advertising industry of celebrity endorsers, influencers, and meme creators. Such paid endorsements, known as sponsored content, are the online equivalent of a 30-second TV spot. Big name stars can command $100,000 or more for a single YouTube video or Instagram post. And here's kind of one direction that I think influencer marketing may go. And I don't even know if we would call it influencer marketing at that point, or if we would call it user-generated content. User-generated content, go take a look at Airbnb's Instagram account. Airbnb does not take any of their own photos for Instagram. They rely solely on basically user-generated content. People who book Airbnb hotels, they rely on their photos, and that's what's all over their Instagram account. So I think user-generated content, you're able to get a lot more users to share content on your behalf or to influence on behalf of you. And it seems to be more authentic. If somebody gives a certain influencer $1,000 to post something, you're really not using this. You're just posting it for the money. Whereas if one of your brand's fans, somebody who actually uses your brand, says, oh, here's a picture of me with this product. I actually use this product every day. I love this product. That's a lot more authentic. And as a buyer, I would believe something like that a lot more than I'd believe some paid influencer who's being paid money to say, yeah, I like this product. So I think that's the way things are going to be going. Since I work in the Shopify space, I'm seeing more apps pop up. I'm having more salespeople reach out to me, trying to pitch like SaaS softwares and Shopify apps that are intended to encourage people to leave user-generated content either through like points or other types of rewards and coupons, and also kind of ways to kind of curate that content to see when your brand's mentioned. So I think that's the direction that influencer marketing is going. Let's see, if we look at this chart here, what does this say? Despite signs that influencers hold less sway, companies are paying them more. Price per Instagram post for influencers by number of accounts, by number of followers 2019. Nano, so somebody who has under 10,000 followers, up to $500. Micro, somebody who has 10,000 to 50,000 subscribers, that would be 200 to 4,000. Mid-tier, 50,000 to 500,000. And these are all pretty big gaps, but 2,000 to 10,000. Macro, 500,000 to $1 million, $5,000 to 25,000. Mega, 1 million and up, 10,000 to 150,000. And celebrity, several million followers, 20,000 to 500,000. So think about how much money PewDiePie is making. PewDiePie actually just did a deal with G Fuel. G Fuel is kind of like a gaming pre-workout / focus supplement. And I can only imagine how much money they paid him for that. One thing that hasn't been mentioned thus far in this article is engagement rates. I'm actually using a software or a platform right now called Carro, Carro. It's pretty cool. It's free. You can find influencers or potential influencers among customers who've purchased your products, as well as your social media audience and followers, as well as people on your email list. And kind of the idea behind that is you can reach out to quote unquote influencers, but influencers who either already use your brand or already have a connection with your brand. Doing that, I imagine you could probably get them cheaper or for free product. And in addition to that, I think it's going to be a much more genuine endorsement from somebody who's actually using your product, or at the very least, even if somebody's on your email list, at least they've expressed interest in your product. It goes on to say, but a whiff of deceit now taints the influencer. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention. So I don't know if you guys have seen this. Anybody who's an Amazon affiliate marketer probably got this email recently. I see it's been discussed on some of the Amazon and affiliate marketer forums. Amazon sent out an email the other day basically reminding everybody to use FTC disclosures on their website or on social media. So people are kind of arguing whether the FTC is implementing new rules or they're going to start cracking down on it even more, but that is something that we're seeing as well. But the article goes on to say, but a whiff of deceit now taints the influencer marketplace. Influencers have strained ties with advertisers by inflating the number of their followers, sometimes buying fake ones by the tens of thousands. They also have damaged their credibility with real-life followers by promoting products they don't use. All these paid posts make you question whether influencers are genuine or just doing it for the money, said Jalen Evans, a 19-year-old student at Virginia Commonwealth University. The loss of trust undermines the power of influencers, according to Marcelos Camberos, iSpy's chief executive. Have they peaked? I don't know, he said. These days, the firm is recruiting its own customers to post products for free. Accurately tracking the effectiveness of influencer advertising is difficult. By one measure, their influence is waning. Engagement rates, which measure the number of likes a post generates as a percentage of a person's followers, are down this year, compared with the same period last year, according to InfluencerDB, which makes tools to help brands manage influencer campaigns. And it's just one of those tools that I talked about that kind of help bring some transparency, honesty, and accountability to influencer marketing. The one that I was talking about earlier, open sponsorship, they actually act as an escrow system, and they kind of hold the money to make sure both parties are kind of satisfied with the deal. Let's see, shrinking influence. We see Instagram influencers' engagement rates are declining. So, they kind of show in travel, food, lifestyle, fashion, beauty, and sports and fitness. Pretty much across the board, the amount of engagement on influencer posts is dropping. Consumers can see if someone honestly cares about a product or whether they're just trying to push it, said Anders Ankared, chief executive and online stationery retailer, A Good Company. The bubble is starting to burst. Advertisers can't ignore social media. Instagram alone has more than 1 billion monthly users. Media Kicks, an influencer marketing agency, estimates the company will spend between 4.1 billion and 8.2 billion globally in 2019 on influencers. That is up 500 million in 2015, but still a fraction of the 624 billion companies will spend globally this year on advertising, according to an estimate by media buying agency Zenith. Walmart Inc. this year began adding influencer posts to its website to promote products such as Sophia Jeans by Sofia Vergara and a home collection by blogger Liz Marie. Last year, Unveiler PLC warned that the fraud undercut the power of influencers, yet in June, its investment arm agreed to buy a stake in a software company that helps brands oversee influencer campaigns. And I think this example of Walmart kind of highlights what I was talking to in terms of the direction influencer marketing is going. So it's no longer, hey, let's just pay this random Instagram guy $5,000 to post, XYZ product, or I shop at Walmart. What they're actually doing in this example was like we said, that blogger, Liz Marie, they've actually created a line of products under her name. So they're able to kind of leverage her personality, her audience, and it's directly trackable. Either Liz Marie home collection sells well, or it doesn't. That's very measurable. It's not just like handing somebody a check and being like, I hope this brings sales in. Despite questions about declining influence, the money paid influencer keeps climbing, roughly 50% a year since 2017, according to Media Kicks, which helps match brands with influencers. Prices per Instagram post range from $200 for an influencer with as few as 10,000 followers to more than 500,000 for celebrities with millions of followers. I'm not really sure what the brand ambassadors for online cosmetics. Okay, so it looks like this company ISPI has used Ciara. Not sure who Corey Ray is. Gabby, haven't heard of her. Yeah, I haven't heard of any of these people. A lawsuit this month hinted that the sums paid the biggest celebrity influencers, the singer Ariana Grande, sued Forever 21 Inc. for allegedly stealing her likeness after she rejected an endorsement deal with the clothing retailer. Ms. Grande, who has 165 million Instagram followers, accused the company of hiring a lookalike model for its Instagram post and website. The model wore a hairstyle and clothing similar to what the pop star wore in her Seven Rings music video, which has more than 500 million YouTube views. That's kind of dirty of that company to do. I'm sure she'll wind up getting paid for it too. The market value for even a single Instagram post by Ms. Grande went well into the six figures, said the lawsuit, which seeks at least $10 million in damages. Forever 21, in a statement, disputed the allegations. Akash Mehta, an influencer with 293,000 Instagram followers, was recently offered 5 times his $2,000 asking price for a single post. He has been paid by such well-known brands as Volvic Water and Swiss watchmaker Ulysse Nardin SA. Never heard of any of those companies. The big offer, he said, was a turning point for me. It made me realize that influencer marketing has gone wrong. Mr. Mehta said he accepted the payment, but he didn't believe he could deliver 5 times the value of what he usually charges. And I think that's a big problem of what we're seeing in influencer marketing as a whole. I think we're kind of getting ourselves into a situation where like influencers expect a certain amount of money, or, Social Blade tells them their account is worth a certain amount of money, or they're unwilling to quote unquote, cheapen their content with ads. Like ultimately at the end of the day, your content or your audience is going to kind of suffer a little bit having to deal with ads or sponsorship. So it's kind of like from an influencer perspective, okay, if I'm going to put ads on here, if I'm going to put sponsored products, I want to be paid for it. If I'm going to add making people listen to a 30-second, run up about XYZ product, I at least want to be compensated for it, because I'm probably going to lose some views on my YouTube video. Maybe some people unsubscribe to me. Maybe someone buys a product and doesn't like it. So, for a lot of reasons, influencers want to make sure that they're making money, but at the same time, to brands and companies and online stores, we need to see an ROI on what we're paying for. XYZ celebrity, their shout out might be worth $5,000, but if that shout out doesn't bring me back $5,000 in business, what's the point of doing it? So I think we're going to kind of come to a head where there's just not an ROI on influencer marketing. I think that's going to become even more the case as influencer marketing becomes more measurable. But it goes on to say some established brands see trouble Kellogg Company, which paid the endurance athlete and Special K fan Sophie Radcliffe to post about her love of the cereal, said standing out from the crowd has gotten tough. Consumers are wising up to how influencer marketing works, said Joseph Harper, Kellogg's e-commerce marketing manager for Western Europe. Sensing the shift, some companies are rethinking how they use influencers. Banana Republic, which has used such high-profile influencers as Olivia Palermo, a socialite with 6.2 million Instagram followers, is also tapping its own customers, again, user-generated content. The Gap Inc. owned clothing chain has real-life shoppers pose in their favorite Banana Republic outfits on Instagram in exchange for $150 gift cards. Kathy Fisher, 21, who was one recruit who said she had soured on influencers with no connection to the product they promote. What sets her apart from influencer phonies is that she was already buying most of her clothes at Banana Republic when the brand reached out to her, she said. My friends and I are sick of being sold things all the time, Ms. Fisher said, a student at the University of South Florida with 1,342 Instagram followers. When you scroll through your Instagram feed, it's one sponsored post after another. And, I never really liked Instagram, but I definitely get that feeling as well, is like, especially among the bigger people, you can almost expect 1 in every 3 posts or 1 in every 5 posts is a product spotlight. You're basically following somebody's ads. Mr. Meta, the influencer, also worked as a digital media manager for Christian Dior SE of Southeast Asia, maybe, and Estee Lauder COS, covering their influencer marketing programs. He said companies don't always know what they're buying. When you pay for a billboard, you know roughly how many people will see it. Man, this thing's popping up all the time. Drives me fucking crazy. Said Mr. Meta 25. With Instagram, you have no idea. Followers can be bought. I think the billboard advertising is kind of a shitty example. Like, you really don't know how many people see a billboard, and you don't really know how effective it is. And that's one of the shifts that we're seeing in advertising. For anybody who wants to get into advertising or digital media, I know a lot of people, especially a lot of creatives, like, hate statistics and numbers. And it's really something that you have to grow to at least tolerate and understand. Back in the days of like Mad Men, it was like, hey, let's come up with a really creative print ad or TV ad, and you're kind of just spraying and praying, right? You hope you come up with a creative ad or a funny ad or a persuasive ad, and you just hope that it brings in people, but you have really no way of measuring how effective it is. With Facebook ads, with Google AdWords, with a lot of advertising online these days, you can really measure and really target specific audiences. Whereas buying an influencer, it's kind of a little bit of that spray and pray, though it is still somewhat measurable. So we talked about the billboard. A good company, the online retailer, worked with 4,000 influencers to promote its eco-friendly stationery and other office supplies. It paid them cash or gift cards for their social media posts. Let's see, what is this? Meta. If only breakfast was like this every day. A dreamy morning on a rooftop overlooking an army of hot air balloons rising above Cappadocia. An experience of a lifetime. Museum Hotel. So this is a sponsored post for a hotel. Let's see. The company, which didn't get its expected sales boost, sent an anonymous survey to their influencers asking if they had ever paid for followers, likes, or comments. Nearly 2/3 of respondents said yes. Mr. Arkelid, the CEO, said, a Hype Auditor, an analytics firm, investigated 184 million Instagram accounts and found more than half used fraud to inflate their numbers of followers. Some influencers had a large number of followers who weren't real, meaning the accounts had been bought or were inactive, according to Anna Komak, a Hype Auditor's marketing manager. Clues include large number of followers outside of the influencer's home country. The scams cost little. Enterprises known as click farms employ people to inflate social media traffic. They sell 1,000 bogus YouTube followers for as little as $49. On Facebook, the same number of followers costs $34, and on Instagram, they cost $16, according to Masara Parquet Clouston, a researcher at cybersecurity firm GoSecure, who collaborated with others to seek prices. Facebook and Instagram, which is owned by Facebook Inc., have policies against such deceptions, a company spokesperson said. The company said Instagram had an intuitive to remove phony likes, follows, and comments from accounts that use third-party apps to boost popularity. YouTube didn't respond to a request for comment. I remember reading an article a while back. YouTube actually is struggling with just that. Influencer deception will cost advertisers $1.3 billion this year, estimated Robert Cavazos, a statistics professor at the University of Baltimore. TV, radio, and Magazine and newspaper advertising are based on standardized, audited third-party measures, including those from Nielsen Holdings plc. Some influencers mislead followers by failing to disclose when they are paid to post about products or services, as stipulated by the FTC, and that's kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier. It seems like they might be cracking down on this. Tom Lee Bree said when she founded online retailer Butonomy in 2018, we thought influencers would be a silver bullet and bring all the traffic we needed. Let's see, the Banana Republic, okay. Butonomy worked with influencers with about 100,000 followers on Instagram and other social media. The influencers created their own Butonomy makeup palettes and promoted products in posts. Butonomy, which is co-owned by beauty company Coty Inc., agreed to give influencers a percentage of the sales, but they didn't generate enough sales to justify the program. The company instead turned to buying ads on Facebook and elsewhere. Mr. Labrie said advertising executive James Cole said he worked on dozens of social media campaigns with influencers without any measurable return. He quit trying. Instead, Mr. Cole founded H-Hub, which operates more like a traditional ad agency. It connects photographers, videographers, and other content creators with brands, including Yelp Inc. Rather than paying influencers, brands acquire content from H-Hub and post it themselves. When Instagram started, it was a place you looked at images posted by your friends or other people you trusted, he said. Brands ruined it by injecting their own messages. Consumers are wising up to the fact that just because an influencer posts about a product doesn't mean they actually like it. Like, no shit. Jewelry retailer Alexis Bitar has moved away from influencers. The company now prefers creating its own social media content. Recent posts include the 1968 Alexis Bixar branded Volkswagen bus. The company shows off at events such as Art Basel in Miami and Coachella Music Festival in California. We scaled back paying for posts, said Matt Valvecchio, chief executive of Alexis Bitar's parent company, Deconic, which is owned by Brooks Brothers. It's difficult to quantify how it translates into sales. Even with high-priced offers, some influencers are having second thoughts. Amber Atherton caught the attention of advertisers after she starred in a British reality TV show Made in Chelsea. Then she experienced the influencer's dilemma. Brands were offering to pay me $5,000 for a single post, she said, even though they weren't relevant to her followers. She turned down the products she wouldn't use, she said. And that's something that I run into as well. I don't really do... A couple years ago, I did a couple influencer things, made maybe $200, $300, $350 for a post. And if they're relevant, I don't really mind doing them. Like, I use Terapeak. So Terapeak used to pay me to make videos about Terapeak, but it was something I used in real life. It was something I found valuable. I have like Amazon sellers, mostly like Chinese sellers, but I have like Amazon sellers and other random companies hitting me up via email all the time. Like, hey, do you want to do an influencer post about our flashlight? What the fuck does a flashlight have to do with my channel? So that's kind of one of the reasons that I've always kind of stayed away from it. Let's see, Amber Atherton, okay, so we talked about that. Ms. Atherton later found Zypher, a software company that has helped Banana Republic and other companies find customers to enlist as influencers. Again, more user-generated content. When Ipsy got its start in 2011, its strategy was focused on using influencers instead of traditional advertisers. Instead of traditional advertising was unconventional. Founder Michelle Phan was also an influencer giving makeup advice on YouTube. By 2017, she had 10 million followers. That year, she left Epsi and stopped posting on YouTube. Who I was on camera and in real life began to feel like strangers, Miss Phan said. In a YouTube video, she explained her exit. Right to Suzanne Camper and Turpin. Okay, so let's take a look at the comments, see what people have to say. And I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say, whether you're an influencer, a consumer, or a brand. Like, how do you view influencer marketing? Is it still effective? Does everybody realize it's just paid nonsense? If you're a brand, are you seeing an ROI on influencer marketing? What type of influencers are you going after? Like mini or micro influencers versus like bigger celebrities? Let's see here. Are we sheep? Trump's election, the Kardashians, Paris Hilton goes a long way to say yes. Fortunately, majority of 3 million more Americans can think for themselves. I think a lot of these girls have a backup career just in case. Sugar baby. Well, many label this as nothing more than ingenious marketing. I think the phenomenon can be traced back to our education system. As a former professor, it became evident years ago that students matriculating to the college ranks had been taught more what rather than how to think. It's not a wonder they can be so easily influenced to buy. I warned about this a decade ago. Nobody would listen. If you can measure the results of your advertising, you're throwing away money. Or if you can't measure the results of your advertising, you're throwing away money. But a lot of supposedly smart people decided social media didn't need metrics. Obviously, the companies and influencers have been playing to a market composed of mindless drones, the kind pushed through and onto the streets year after year by high schools and universities across the land. My purchases are not influenced by social media influencers because I'd never seen or heard of them before reading enough of this article that I got the idea. I didn't finish it because I'm not one of Instagram's millions of followers. I am not on Facebook. I have no profile on WhatsApp, and I'm not on LinkedIn. In fact, I have no social media presence at all, so I don't see the ads, ignore the sponsored links, and only read news articles and look at YouTube videos on ballet, classical music, and interviews with conservative pundits. Internet influencers. My children know to be enormously skeptical of anything they read, see, or hear on the internet. You'd have to be dumber than a box of rocks to be influenced by a pop star endorsing something on the internet. I think this person kind of missed the point. The point is that it isn't just pop stars. I know they used Ariana Grande as an example, but the whole point of influencer marketing is that the Michael Jordans on the Wheatie boxes and the I can't even think of another example, but it's kind of getting away from celebrities and kind of more to quote-unquote normal people who have a big following on social media. All these paid posts make you question whether influencers are genuine or just doing it for the money. I hope that she's a first-year student. America has gotten vastly silly. I'm kind of vaguely aware of the influencer phenomenon, but not having a facepalm or Insta-Idiot account, I have never been directly exposed to it. I do understand why these influencers would do it, as many of them would likely be wearing hairnets if they didn't, but can't understand why companies would blow millions on them. Let's see, not to mention in this story, it is most likely Mr. Meta had his entire trip to Turkey paid for by the hotel which he stayed in, airfare in country, all meals at the hotel in his actual room, all provided gratis by the whole. Okay. I have a mind of my own. I don't need an influencer to tell me what I need. I never bought an item because of an influencer, and I never will. Now, one thing we have to keep in mind here is the people who are reading and commenting on Wall Street Journal articles probably aren't the same people following Ariana Grande on Instagram. So I think people here are going to be a little bit smarter and more skeptical. I don't even use the toilet without checking in with my influencer first. Scott or Charmin, I need to know what Olivia Jade is using. Let's see. I read a study many years ago that evaluated the benefit of having celebrities in television commercials rather than normal people. The researchers concluded there was no benefit. It may be different today, as people who are famous for being famous now attract hundreds of thousands or even millions of mindless drones on Twitter who want to hear every word. Okay, so you guys get the point. I'll link to this article for anybody who wants to give it a read or read the comments for themselves. Would love to hear what you guys think. Drop a comment in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button below. We'll catch you guys on the next video.